Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the one for the irons. That we're going to have Apex, Pro and Standard against the P700 range, 770 and 790. They're going to go head to head and we're going to see who comes out on top. Let's get stuck in. As always guys, this little bit inserted in, give a little thumbs up. The more likes I can get on the videos, the more people YouTube will show it to, and I would be massively indebted to you. So thanks again for joining the video. First things first with these is appearance, aesthetics and looks. Which one for you looks better? Let me know in the comments. Apex, Apex Pro, P790 or P770. Which one do you think stands out the most in terms of that looks really nice? That looks really nice. Let me know in the comments. So I'm going to start off with these two. I'm going to start off with Apex and P790. These are the comparable heads in each of the ranges, both coming in at 30.5 degrees of loft in the 7-iron. They are both 37 inches, and I can't think of a fairer test here. These two are going to go head to head. I'm not going to talk about feel, I'm not going to talk about anything like that. I'm going to talk about pure data and which one I would choose and which one I would probably recommend in each instance. So let's start off with Apex, then we'll go into straight into 790, and let's get stuck in. If you've not seen the Apex video I've done, I'll tag a link this side. I'll tag a link this side and you can go and have a look at that. Very, very good set of irons. So in that, I'm going to throw the numbers up. I've blocked out the Apex Pro and the 770. So let's see the numbers for 790 and Apex. So you can see there that the Apexes are going a little bit further. You're talking about 6 yards. They're spinning a little bit less and they're launching a little bit higher. So the 790s, you can see they are landing a little bit shallower, but spinning a bit more. I do prefer the spin rate I'm getting with the 790s. I mean, they're fairly similar. They are fairly similar. They're doing similar things, just in a slightly different way. The 790s spinning a bit more. That may come to a surprise, be a surprise to some. Apex is spinning a little bit less. So who I would put them in, I would be looking at the Apexes for someone who's maybe needing a little bit of a higher launch, landing a bit softer, but the 790s for someone who wants to spin it a touch more, perhaps. These aren't going to perform this exact difference. The difference isn't going to be exactly the same for each person. Someone may spin the Apexes more, someone may spin the 790s more. This is hugely dependent on strike, location, strike, face angle. You're talking about loads of different parameters here. I'm talking about, for me, I'd probably go 790. And now what we're going to look at is Apex Pro versus 770. Once again, exact same lofts, both 33 degrees in their loft, and I'm going to use the same shafts that I used in the Apex and the 790. So these, again, apples for apples. We know exactly what we're going to see in comparison. We don't have to adjust for loft or adjust for length or anything like that. What we see is what we get. I'm going to start off with 770 this time, and then I'm going to go into the Apex Pro. I've hit more than I've showed. I hit about 10 with each, and I took out 2 of the worst of each. So we've got good data there. I'm only showing you 4 or 5 with each. Let's go 770, then straight into Apex Pro, and then we'll discuss numbers after. So they're just good. I love the Apex Pro, I love the P790s, I love the P770s, and I love the Apexes. If I'm going to pick one, I'll put the numbers up here. If I'm going to pick one between Apex Pro and 770, you can probably already tell which one it's going to be. It's got more ball speed, it's got better spin rate. It does have a slightly higher landing angle, but that can be altered a little bit. You will change the other dynamics, but not as drastically. Apex Pro hits the nail on the head on every single one of them. It's the best iron there for my swing speed and my delivery. My strike was good with it. I love the sound of it. I love the feel of it. Now that's subjective. Objectively, you're looking at the numbers there. Apex Pro beats P770. And probably, this is a little bit more personal taste, but probably the P790 for me beats the Apex. The biggest observation I can give you here is that the difference between Apex Pro and Apex is much, much bigger than the difference between 770 and 790. That offers two things. That offers quite a clear decision as to which one you should go for in Callaway. And it makes blending the 770s and the 790s easier than it makes blending the Apex Pro and the Apexes. I would find it quite difficult to blend it without drastically changing the lofts, just based on those numbers. Now I have the exact same shaft in the Apex and the Apex Pro, but the numbers there tell me that it's going to be really quite hard to blend that set if someone may need a bit more forgiveness on a 4, 5, 6 iron. Whether that's good or bad, it's hard to tell, but that's what that tells me. That's kind of vibes that's given me. 770 and 790 quite easily blendable if you just adjust the lofts on whichever one would be applicable. Apex Pro, you're going to find that harder to blend into Apex. Now, whether the Apex Pro would blend into the TCB, that's another question. That's another question. And whether the Apex would blend into the DCB is a separate question as well. For this test, Apex Pro is the winner for me. For the hotter ones, 790 probably did edge it over Apex. But like I said in my Callaway Apex video, Callaway are absolutely nailing it this year. They've got a great pro iron now. They've got a very, very good, softer forged, super forgiving club. And I think they're hitting all the nail on the head, all of the nails on the head. And I mean, TAYLORMADE have had this range out for a wee bit now, and it is not going away. The TAYLORMADE stuff is so good, and now we know that it's a little bit easier to blend than the Callaway stuff. And 790 for me might be better than an Apex. Listen, thanks for joining. This was a fun one. I like doing these head-to-heads. If you've got any ideas for head-to-heads, leave a comment. I'm always open to suggestions. Like the video, that shows more people the video. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you next time. Yeah.